You're not seriously going to drink that?
I'm going to try anything if it sorts out this damn flu. My throat feels like it's been sandpapered.
Well, you should have had your shots like everyone else.
Well, I don't like needles. And some of my colleagues hadn't been so generous with their germs.
Well, my mum slices an onion, soaks it in sugar, then sips the juice. Dash?
No, mate, no. It's goose grease. You rub it on your chest and you wear red flannel undies. First of all, you have to catch the goose. Goose?
Vinegar and brown sugar. Sorts out the catarrh.
Oh, what's wrong with cough syrup and throat lozenges?
Because I've tried it all. Siobhan reckons this is going to help. It's an old Chinese remedy.
The witch? No eye of newt or wool of bat. She's slippy, isn't she?
You won't have any trouble with vampires there, Des.
No, or colleagues.
Well, Crims, just breathe on them and come quietly. Here we go. Doctor does house calls.
Oh, what can we do for you on this fine day?
I want you to help me prevent a murder. Her name is Jocelyn Summers. She's been my patient for about 3 weeks. Before that, she lived in Melbourne with her mother, till her mother died and Jocelyn had to move up here.
What makes you think she's at risk?
She's got motor neurone disease in the final stages. Her brother, Greg Michaels, has just asked me to help him kill her.
I know Greg Michaels. Are you sure?
Well, what did he say exactly?
Well, first he asked me how long I thought she'd got, and then he said that she was in a lot of distress, and the end could be a lot quicker and easier if I would just give him the right pill.
Come on, Zoe. There's an awfully long way between asking the question and taking action.
Yes, but when I told him that my job was to save lives, not end them, he said that somebody had to do something to help her. I got the very clear impression he was quite prepared to do it himself.
Zoe, no crime has been committed. What do you want us to do?
I want you to back me up, PJ. I need to take out an intervention order. I need to get her out of that house and into a hospital where she'll be safe.
All right, we'll have a chat with Greg Michaels.
If I knew she was going to react like this, I would have kept my mouth shut.
And done what exactly?
Mr. Michaels. Greg, Dr. Hamilton is concerned that you might take matters into your own hands.
Have you ever seen anyone with MND? It's cruel what Josie's suffering.
Then let Dr. Hamilton take her into the hospital. I'm sure she'll be much more comfortable.
Tom, I promised Josie I'd look after her. I gave her my word. She hates hospitals.
Yeah, but if that's the right place for her...
They can't make her comfortable. They'll just keep her alive. If she were a horse or a dog in this condition, you'd shoot her.
She's not. She's a human being. And any attempt to kill or conspire to kill will be murder and treated as such. Is that understood?
What is this motor neurone disease anyway?
It's when your nervous system packs up. It's like progressive paralysis. It's pretty grim. David Niven had it when he died.
Who's he?
Don't you know who David Niven is? He's an actor, Guns N' Own, Around the World in 80 Days.
Right.
55 Days of Peking.
Okay, I got the point. I'm just trying to say is that you want to keep living. You don't want someone to go in there and decide for you whether or not you're better off dead.
Where there's life, there's hope, eh, Dad?
Yes. And then to go and ask a doctor to help, it's a coward's way out.
You reckon?
Don't you?
You two, that's Katie's. Look, you should really be talking to my husband about this.
Yes, we've already done that, Mrs. Michaels.
It was his idea Josie should stay here. After their mother died, there was no one else. She's his sister, after all.
You don't want her here?
I didn't say that. It's just... he's at work all day. The district nurse comes, but it's all up to me, really. The twins are such a handful.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's hard enough to manage before, now. She needs to be turned every hour or so. She can't feed or wash or toilet herself anymore. It's just a nightmare.
What about a nursing home if you can't manage?
He made her a promise. He'll keep it if it kills him.
Or her.
Look, he said he wanted to talk to that doctor, but that's all. Talk. About, well, options. My husband's a good man. She just misunderstood him.
We'd like to speak to Mrs. Summers now.
Josie, dear, these people have come to see you're all right.
She seems to be wanting to try and say something. Can you take that mask off her face?
Yeah, she's okay for a little while. It's just easier and safer to leave it on.
Mrs. Summers, I'm Sergeant Nick Schultz from Mount Thomas Police. We've just come to see if you're all right.
Can you understand her at all?
No. Lucas, he's a son, says he can, but I think he's just guessing a lot of the time.
Where's he? Can we have a chat to him? Is he about?
It's a school day. You'll find him there. Before you go, do you mind helping me turn her?
That poor woman.
Yes, you'd still like to go on living if you were like her, would you?
I hadn't seen her before today.
Mum, isn't it? Tried to tell Abby I ought to be with her. What, is she really bad? Come on, can you please take me to her?
Just calm down. We need to ask her some questions, that's all.
Oh, well, you'll need me then. You okay, Mum? Do you need anything at all? Saggy just doesn't think, mostly. She's too busy running after the rugrats.
Oh.
Come on, I'm just saying what you think, Mum.
Can you ask your mother if she's being well looked after?
Oh, you can ask her yourself. Her hearing's fine. So's her mind. It's her lips and tongue that don't work properly anymore. Easiest thing is just to ask her a yes-no question. 1 blink means yes, 2 means no. Right, Mum? See? Come on, you'd think Saggy Abby would have got the hang of it after 3 weeks, wouldn't you? Of course, you do have to ask the right questions.
And you know what they are, do you?
Yeah. Better than Gran even. Oh, she's my mum. Oh, she misses Gran. So do I.
Mrs. Summers, can you tell us if you're being well looked after here? What's that? Is it yes or no?
She's too upset.
All right, all right. Well, you tell me, mate. Are you both okay here?
Oh, I guess. No, they mean well, you know. I just wish they'd lay off me about school and let me look after Mum. She'd like that too, you know.
Is that what you want, Mrs. Summers?
Oh, she worries I get behind with my schoolwork. Come on, Mum. I can catch up later when...
All right, are you down the station if you've got any worries?
Yeah, right, thanks.
We did say that we'd drop him back at school.
Oh, no, I just want to stay with Mum for a bit, all right? Please.
All right. Look, Dr. Hamilton's just overreacting. She does that, you know. In fact, that's a hobby.
Is Summers happy where she is, do you think?
Well, I don't think happiness comes into the equation, but, yeah, she's doing okay.
Any grounds for an intervention order?
No, there's no sign of abuse and neglect. Abby Michaels said her husband was just checking out options.
Let's hope murder wasn't one of them.
We had to get past Lucas first.
Lucas is her boy, 14 going on 30, but Dash is right. If you want to get to her, you got to go through him, so... Well, he's around, she's fine.
Then go and tell Dr. Hamilton that.
Do I have to do it? Can't you think Cooper?
Nick,
She's just
come on,
thinking
you're a
here for
big
about
boy
15.
now. Go.
As I've told you, Dr. Hamilton, on our assessment, an intervention order isn't appropriate at this time.
And when will it be appropriate, do you think?
They're designed to prevent domestic violence.
Well, murder's pretty violent, don't you think? And it'll happen at their house. Is that domestic enough for you?
Some proof that a crime's been committed will help.
Oh, so you need a dead body first?
We've spoken to the parties involved and believe there's no cause for concern at present.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with you.
Good for you. You believe that, you'll have to pursue other avenues.
Well, thank you very much for your helpful advice, but I already have. I've just faxed the Office of the Public Advocate. I'm applying for a guardianship order.
Yes, the public advocate's already been in touch. Apparently, Dr. Hamilton's convinced them that the matter's urgent.
That'd be right. So what now?
There'll be a representative from the guardianship board here tomorrow. In the meantime, they've suggested that we move Mrs. Summers into the hospital overnight.
So they really think she's in danger?
No, they're talking respite care at this stage. Give the family a break, you know.
Greg Michaels isn't it like that?
They've asked us to provide whatever help necessary.
Righto.
This is ridiculous. She shouldn't be subjected to this. Change is not good for her condition.
As if you care.
Of course I care.
Oh, then why do you want to bump her off?
No, mate. Lucas, you got it all wrong, mate.
I hate you so much. I wish we'd never come here. Do I have to stay with him?
Well, it all depends on the hearing tomorrow, mate. I mean, someone's got to look after you, and your mother certainly can't, can she?
Yeah, but I can look after her. I mean, will they let me stay at the hospital with her?
Well, she's only going to be an overnight. Once I've spoken to the board, I'm sure she'll be back home tomorrow.
But she'll be safe in the hospital.
She's been perfectly safe here. Lucas, you've just misunderstood what you heard.
You shouldn't listen in on grown-ups, Lucas.
Hey, that's enough.
Oh, come on, this is outrageous.
Yeah, well,
Look, I think you've done what you came for. Thank you very much.
Okay. Another satisfied customer.
You okay? Oh, it's the flu. I feel like I've been kicked.
I don't like it being able to touch the girl.
Well, why don't you go and see Zoe?
No, it's all right. I'll be fine.
McKinley, if you're really ill, why don't you take a couple of days sick leave?
Don't worry, Dash. Motor neuron disease isn't catching. I checked.
There you go. Yeah, she was a real golden girl, Josie, you know. Top marks at school. She went to uni, set up her own business. She shook the dust of Mount Thomas right off her feet.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't think that to look at it now.
Yes. And so what's the story with Zoe getting out an order to take her into hospital?
Yeah, look, don't pay. It's just her overreacting. You know what she's like when she gets a bee in the bonnet. She won't shut up, you know, yada, 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 yada.
Still, Greg Michaels had never hurt his sister, you know, especially if it was something illegal.
Well, let's hope not, eh?
No, he's Rotary, you know. He's parish council. He's a real letter of the law type of bloke.
A real Croydon man, are you?
You got it.
Here you go. Speaking of the great man, time to go feed him. Thanks very much. Cheers, Chris.
Bye.
Here you go. There's your salmon. There's your roast beef. There's your cheese and pickle. And here's your worm sandwich, Dash. Organic, of course, just so you know we care. Mrs. Michaels. What can we do for you?
Look, I'm probably getting worried about nothing, but
What's happened?
I think he might have run away.
Who's this?
Lucas, I can't find him anywhere. He's missing.
Well, I just come through here. Now, what makes you think he's run away?
He's not at the hospital with his mother, and he's not at school, I checked.
Mrs. Michaels' kids wear at school all the time. Just ask Constable McKinley.
Well, he's taken his rucksack and raided the fridge.
So he's gone back home, has he?
Oh, yeah, he must have. I went out with the twins. I needed a break.
Well, I'm a bit surprised he didn't stay with his mother.
Maybe he legged it as soon as he knew that she was safe in hospital.
She was quite safe with us. Just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, right. Do you have any idea where he might have gone? Back to Melbourne?
I don't know. He's hardly spoken to me since he got here.
It sounds to me like Greg and Abby have been so busy looking after Josie, they've scarcely given young Lucas the time of day.
No, I don't think he'd be worrying about that. I think he's just taken time out because he knows his mum's being looked after.
Well, maybe you're right. But he's been reported missing. We can't just sit on our hands and hope he'll turn up. Get on the missing person.
No, I've done that. A description's being circulated, and Greg Michaels is coming in with a photo because his wife didn't think to bring one in. The station master's been notified. I've asked him to keep an eye on Melbourne trains just in case Lucas wants to go back and see his mates.
You know his former address?
Elstonwick. I'll give the local boys a photo as soon as we get one.
What about Lucas's dad? Does he live in Melbourne?
No, he works on the Bass Strait oil rigs. I think he lives somewhere on the coast, but I don't think Lucas would have gone there.
Why not?
Well, he's only 14 years old and it's halfway across the state.
Well, he seems a pretty independent sort of a kid.
Well, I don't think he'd know where to start. His father shot through when Josie was first diagnosed with MND. I don't think there's been any contact since.
Got onto the oil company. It's David Summers' fortnight off the rig, apparently, but I got an address in envelope.
OK, I'll get onto the nearest station to notify him.
Tell you what, I'd hate to be that helpless. I reckon if I had MND, I'd just top myself or something.
Well, it's easy enough to say that, mate, but how do you know when it's time? Well, you can't go ask a doctor, can you?
Well, when you stop enjoying life, then it's time to pull the plug, I reckon.
Yeah, and what if you topped yourself and they found a cure for it the next week?
And what if you're just depressed? Chronic illness does that. Depression can be treated.
Motor neuron disease is incurable, isn't it, Doctor? So you can't really treat it with anything, can you? Just waste away. Not a very nice way to go. I mean, what if Josie Summers wants to die?
She has given me no indication of that.
She's in no state to do so, though, is she?
If that was what she wanted, she could have signed and lodged an advance directive while she was still competent.
Advance directive?
Yeah, it used to be called the living will.
I've got one. Just says that if you're injured and there's no reasonable chance of recovery, you shouldn't be forced to live on. You should be allowed to die with some dignity. Some doctors shouldn't be allowed to play with you, keep you alive in a life support system.
Right, well, maybe we should just chuck all that technology out the window. I could just go down to the ward tomorrow and just start popping people off at random. Yep, too old, that one's too far gone, that one's brother can't be bothered looking after her anymore. Let's just pull the plug, hey? I don't want to make those kind of decisions about other people's lives. That's not why I became a doctor.
Jeez, how arrogant are you? I mean, maybe some people don't want you to make those decisions. Maybe patients want to make their own choices. You ever thought of that? You've seen what that woman's like. You've seen how Josie Summers exists. What would you do if she could talk to you? What would you do?
The church says that human life is sacred. It's a gift of God, and we don't fling it back in his face. And anyway, euthanasia is still illegal.
It's murder.
Well, basically, if somebody dies an unnatural death, it's up to us to find out what and who killed them.
Well, Thaggy Station says David Summers' place is all locked up. His neighbours think he might have gone fishing.
Well, maybe Lucas is hanging around there waiting for his dad to get back.
Nobody's seen him.
Well, I still reckon he's gone to Melbourne.
It's a big place, Schultz. Where do you suggest we start? All right, McKinley, you and Doyle get over to the school, talk to Lucas's teacher, see if he's made any friends that might know where he's gone. Cooper, you're in charge of the shop. Schultz, you and I have been asked to go to this guardianship board meeting.
It's clear that she's at the stage where she should be in hospital, where she can be properly looked after.
Excuse me, but have you found any signs at all that we've neglected her?
Well, no, she's a little dehydrated, that's all.
When you contacted us, Dr. Hamilton, you suggested that Mrs. Summers was in imminent personal danger. Would you elaborate on that?
Mr. Michaels came to me to discuss euthanasia. I told him that it wasn't an option.
Yes, and I accepted that.
Not at the time you didn't.
Dr. Hamilton, I just want what's best for my sister, and I know she doesn't want to die in a hospital. She wants to go home. I gave her my word.
Have you thought of asking Mrs. Summers what she wants?
The disease has paralysed the vocal cords, Senior
She can
Sergeant.
still open and close her eyes. One blink means yes, two blinks mean no. His son Lucas put me onto it. Isn't that right, Mrs. Summers?
Nobody told me.
It helps if you ask the right questions.
Mrs. Summers, are you happy here? That's a no. Is your brother's care acceptable to you? Yes. Do you want to go back to stay with him? Yes, again. That seems clear enough. You said yourself, Doctor, there are no signs of neglect or abuse. The patient is competent to make her own decisions, and she clearly wants to go home. She should be allowed to do so. We'll do all we can to lighten the load. If a district nurse calls twice a day,
Not a problem.
and overnight or weekend respite care is an option you might want to consider.
Thank you. Now I just want to take my sister home to be with her family, where she belongs.
See, when my mum was sick, we had so many of us, you know, big family. There's lots of us to take the strain. Mount Thomas 208 receiving.
Yours is a domestic 29 Station Street complaint of Mrs. Abby Michaels received.
Got that VKC, ETA 5 minutes.
I mean, my wife is pregnant. She doesn't need this sort of stress. Oh, good. Police are here. They'll sort this out.
I just want to spend some time with my wife.
She's not your wife anymore, and she doesn't want to see you.
How do you know that?
You walked out on her. You can't just come
Walked
walking
out
in
on her?
here.
She gave me the elbow, for God's sake, and I had no idea she was this...
Look, it doesn't matter either way, does it? I don't want you in my
All
house.
right, gentlemen, we've had a call about a disturbance here.
Yes, this man broke into my house, and now he refuses to leave.
I'll let him in.
They were here when I got back from the hospital with Josie. She is very upset. This sort of thing is not good for her condition. Do you know, if you had any feeling for her whatsoever, you would just go away and leave us all in peace.
Look, she is my wife. It is my right to talk to her, and I will not stand for this.
As soon as she saw him, Josie burst into tears. I'm not having her upset again.
Why don't you just ask her what she wants? Go on, just ask her.
You can't do this. I would talk to her.
Otherwise, we're going to add resisting arrest to assault.
Luke told me what's been going on, so I came to sort things out. He and his mother should be with me.
I understood you and your wife were separated.
Look, we've been having some problems, right? Then the MMD was diagnosed. She asked me to leave, I left.
And you made no attempt to contact her until now?
Well, I had no idea things had got this bad. I mean, Luke kept in touch, but... And, of course, Josie's mother never liked me. I mean, I didn't even know the old... I didn't even know she was dead till my boy told me.
And you hurried up here to do what exactly, sir?
Well, Josie's my wife. I want to look after her.
Oh, sir, as we understand it, you do shift work on oil rigs, which is fortnight on, fortnight off. Wouldn't she be best left where she is?
I can take leave, hire a nurse, just be there for them, you know? Anyway, Luke says they don't really want her there. Too much trouble.
Well, the guardianship board considered them appropriate carers.
Only because I didn't get here in time to make my case.
Are you all right? Have you made a doctor's appointment yet? No, Maggie, we've been busy. I haven't had time.
What can we do for you?
I'd like to speak to Senior Sergeant Croydon, please.
Well, can you tell me what it's in connection with?
Is there a problem?
I thought that you'd like to know. Josie Summers has just been found dead.
When was that respirator removed?
When I came in and realised she'd passed on, just before I called you.
So you weren't with her when she died?
No, I was in the kitchen making up her formula.
Late-stage MND sufferers usually have trouble swallowing and chewing.
Often a feeding tube is inserted directly into the stomach.
She wouldn't have had much to live for, would she?
That depends on your point of view, I suppose.
Out you go and play. Nicely now. What's going on? Dr. Hamilton, what are you doing here?
I called her, Abby. I'm afraid Josie's dead.
But I was only gone an hour. She was all right when I left.
Perhaps it was the stress of the last couple of days.
Yes, well, there was no sign of stress when she left the hospital. I would have said she had at least a month, maybe more. Under these circumstances, I'm not prepared to issue a death certificate until we have a full post-mortem examination. The fact that both Greg and Abby claimed to be somewhere else at the time of death is suspicious.
Well, we call it having an alibi, Zoe, but don't worry, we'll check him out thoroughly.
Abby Michaels could have just taken the kids for a walk, something perfectly innocent.
So if neither of them were present, how was it done?
Look, that's what we need the post-mortem for, PJ. We need to check that that respirator hasn't been tampered with. Mrs. Summers was having trouble breathing. Increasing the levels of carbon dioxide in her bloodstream to fatal levels wouldn't have been too difficult.
You need to know what you're doing.
Not necessarily. You just need to be willing to let the woman suffocate. Or drown in her own mucus. The cough reflex was going.
No wonder Greg Michaels asked you if there's any way of giving your sister a merciful death.
That's her choice, not his.
I looked in briefly before I went to work. The nurse was getting her settled in. So I left.
Then what?
Oh, I had a stack of work to catch up on. I didn't even get a chance to go out to lunch. I got somebody to bring me a sandwich.
Were you alone in your office?
No, the section admin assistant was taking dictation for me. Oh, the boss dropped in for a word.
So, when did you actually know that your sister had died?
Evelyn Hudson phoned me. She said it was a merciful release. I agree with her. Look, I don't see what all the fuss is about. My sister was a very sick woman.
Mr. Michaels, your sister died within a few hours of returning to your care.
I had nothing to do with her death, directly or indirectly.
The nurse was getting Josie settled in. There was a call from the pharmacist, some prescription they'd forgotten, so I went to pick it up.
How long were you away, Mrs. Michaels?
Oh, an hour or so. I took the twins with me. We went for a walk.
Wasn't that a lot?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, just walking out like that.
Oh, the nurse was there. Mr. Hasham, have you ever looked after someone who's very ill?
No, I haven't.
If a chance for a break presents itself, you take it because you just don't know when you'll get another one.
Are you sure you just didn't pop back to make sure that...
To kill her, you mean? Mr. Hasham, I had nothing to do with Josie's death. I'm glad for her sake that it's over, but I wasn't even there when she died. She was all alone. Even Lucas wasn't there for her.
So what do you reckon?
Well, she certainly turned the waterworks on at a convenient time, didn't she?
Got the feeling they'd rehearsed what they're going to say.
And the stories seem pretty similar.
But nobody's actually admitted anything.
No, well, they wouldn't, would they? Trust their convenient alibis and hope nothing turns up in the post-mortem.
If they weren't there, how do they manage it, though? They didn't get Dr. Hamilton to help them.
We should have a chat to the district nurse.
Mrs. Summers was in pain. Her lungs required regular mechanical suction to clear mucus, and she couldn't eat or speak.
Miss Hudson, could compassion have overcome your knowledge of the law?
I didn't kill her.
You were the last person to see her alive.
No, I wasn't.
What are you saying?
Well, Lucas came back to see her. Well, that's when I went to prepare her food.
So why didn't you mention this before?
Well, I wasn't there long. In fact, he was gone when I got back.
And this is when you found Mrs. Summers dead?
Yes. I suppose he could have been with her when she died.
Dash, are you still drinking that stuff? It stinks.
Oh, yeah, well, you get used to it.
How your taste buds run up the "We Surrender" flag.
I've got some fresh water here if you want some. Maggie?
Yep.
Your mum, was she sick for a long time?
Oh, not really. A couple of months. She left it too long, and the cancer had spread. It was all over pretty quickly.
So was she in a lot of pain?
Oh, she didn't really talk about it. That's just the way she was, you know. She used to say that there's always somebody worse off than you.
Why? Well, I don't know. I guess it's just the Josie Summers stuff, you know. I mean, I've always been against euthanasia, and then when I saw her, it was awful, and I'd hate to be like that.
I guess you don't know until you're in that situation. I think that, well, no, I know that I'd want to keep on fighting.
Guess so.
So have you made a doctor's appointment yet?
No, but I'm going to do it later, Maggie.
I'm sure you will. Oh, hi, Pauline. Maggie Dawes speaking. Listen, I want to make an appointment for Dash McKinley, please. Yes, 6:30 tonight will be fine.
Thank you. Bye.
That wasn't very hard, was it?
So, Lucas, you spoke to the nurse then, you went to see your mum?
Yeah.
Yeah? How was she?
She was pretty tired.
Is that why you didn't stay for very long?
How'd you know that?
Well, Sister Hudson said you'd gone by the time she came back.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to see, you know. I just wanted to make sure she was okay.
Look, don't you think he's been through enough today?
No, I know, sir, but there's certain questions that we need to ask. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's all right, then.
You all right? OK, mate, look, Senior Constable Doyle will take you and give you a soft drink. OK?
Yeah.
Surely this isn't necessary. My wife was terminally ill, for God's sake. Why distress the boy with questions?
Well, Dr. Hamilton regards this as a suspicious death, so we're just following inquiry, sir.
So, who do you suspect?
Well, Greg Michaels raised the possibility of euthanasia.
Well, as it happened, so did Josie.
Really?
She hated the idea of being helpless, dependent on others.
So, you had talked about it then?
Back in the early days. And she even made out a living will.
When was this?
Before Luke was born, I think.
Do you have a copy of it?
We've been separated for 3 years, remember? She would have lodged it with her solicitor. And, of course, her mother would have had a copy. It's probably in her papers.
So if Greg Michaels knows about the living will, he may have felt justified in taking the law into his own hands.
Yeah, especially since Zoe Hamilton refused to help.
Of course, it's only circumstantial evidence.
Might just give us a lever, eh?
There you go. Here's your preliminary autopsy report, Jocelyn Summers.
Good on you.
No obvious signs of foul play, but you've got to wait a while for blood chemistry and the rest of your stuff.
Mate, this living will is
The advance directive, what about it, mate?
Yeah, what does it do exactly?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what it does. When I tick, I'll just rip it out of my old wallet. If I'm injured or unconscious, please note the instructions, including the appointment of my agent and the Medical Treatment Act, 1988. If there is not any reasonable prospect of my recovery, I request that I be allowed to die and that I be administered drugs required to keep me free from pain, even if death is hastened thereby.
So it's not an authorisation for euthanasia?
No. Well, I suppose to keep me free from pain is open to interpretation, because it goes on to say, even if death is hastened thereby.
Well, death is the ultimate cure, isn't it?
Very good. One interesting thing about this is you've got to go sign and lodge your enduring power of attorney with your nominated agent, or it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Mr. Michaels, is there anything you need to tell us?
I've already told you, I didn't kill Josie.
Well, our information is there might be a copy of the document in your mother's papers.
Oh, well, it's all in the office. Come on through.
Thank you.
Yep. Here we are.
Thank you. Last will and testament of Meredith Michaels. That's your mum? And Jocelyn Meredith Summers. That's it?
That's odd. I thought there was another document in there.
Oh, did anybody else have access to these papers?
Everybody in the house, although we do try to keep the twins out. You know, if it's paper, they draw on it.
Did Lucas have any idea about the living will?
Well, he might have. Joseph depended on him a lot. Oh, can you excuse me, please?
You know, Lucas desperately wanted his mother to live, and maybe he destroyed it.
I've hidden it. Have a look, eh?
Yeah. Found it.
Yeah, I took it.
Why?
Well, because they'd have used it as an excuse.
What, for euthanasia?
Oh, look. Abby, she was always whining just about how hard it was to look after Mum. I mean, they should have just left us alone. I could have managed. Mum would still be alive.
Yeah, well, not for much longer, son. Your mum's very ill.
Yeah, I know. I know you're right. It's good she's not suffering anymore. Oh, but I just can't believe she's gone, you know.
I know.
You're right, mate. That's enough for now. Thank you.
Dr. Hamilton's here. She's got some information for you.
Ta.
First of the blood tests have come through. Someone gave Mrs. Summers a massive dose of insulin.
Was she diabetic?
No. Couldn't have been an accident.
Miss Hudson, you've already admitted that you're pro-euthanasia.
In certain circumstances, yes.
Right, and you have ready access to insulin?
A number of my elderly clients are diabetic. I always carry it.
You see, insulin may have played a part in Miss Summers' death.
Well, Josie wasn't diabetic.
Precisely.
Are you suggesting that I administered? That's ridiculous.
Is it?
Look, Mr. Hashem, supporting the principles of euthanasia is one thing. I felt really sorry for Josie. But as the law stands, I wouldn't put my job and my future at risk.
Not even to help a dying woman to an easy death.
A doctor could get away with it. They signed the death certificate. I wouldn't.
So what have we got?
Means an opportunity, Evelyn Hudson, motive, Greg and Abby Michaels.
They'd already approached Zoe. They could have asked the nurse.
Who's sticking to a story that Mrs. Summers was alive and stable when she left her with Lucas. Now, we need to talk to that boy again.
No, you don't seriously think he had anything to do with it?
He may have seen or heard something which gives us a lead.
But would he have known how much insulin to give?
Or even how to give it?
Which leads us right back to Evelyn Hudson.
Or someone acting under her advice.
And how do we make her crack?
Oh, Abby Michaels is the weak link. We'll have another talk to her and we'll check out Josie's room.
Mr. Michaels, what's going on?
Well, the bed, the commode and the wheelchair were on hire. There's no point in wasting money.
What else has been moved, sir?
I don't know. Abby's sorting through the rest of the stuff now. You know, these things are best dealt with promptly, then you can get on with your life.
Thank you. What are you doing?
I was just
Destroying the evidence?
tidying up evidence. What do you mean?
Mrs. Michaels, what do you know about insulin?
It's used to treat diabetes. Why?
The room movers want to go on their way.
Just ask them to wait, thank you very much.
Yeah, but
no,
they-
ask them to wait, Mr. Michaels. We need to take a look around. Thank you.
TJ. Sharp's container.
Mrs. Summers was having regular vitamin injections. Naturopath in Melbourne thought they might help.
And did they?
Well, they weren't doing any harm, at least. Now, what is that doing there?
Why?
That's used to take blood samples. One, I didn't order any, and two, you'd expect to see the carriage and the needle separated. You remember what happens when you have a blood test?
I don't know, Zoe, I don't look.
Well, the needle finds the vein, then the carriage is attached. The blood's drawn, then the needle is removed from the arm and then from the carriage. And the carriage is put with the test files. So why are these two still together? Can't see any traces of blood in there. Let's get this down to the path lab. See what they can tell us.
Oh, g'day, you still crook? I just come to see Zoe.
Dash, I'm a bit busy. Can you hang around?
We checked Abby Michael's story about her visit to the pharmacist. It holds up, though he doesn't remember phoning her.
Still, she provided us with a very convenient alibi.
Greg Michael's story about working through his lunch break checks out too.
Thank you, I think.
Did you manage to get any more out of either of them?
Distress from her, talk of police harassment from him. But we'll have another go in the morning.
Well, the boy's waiting for you in the interview room. Just don't be too hard on him. He's still pretty shaky.
Yeah, we gathered from the path lab. Traces of insulin in the syringe.
Looks like we got the murder weapon. Is it coming in again?
So, have you found out any more?
Now, Lucas, this is very important, so I want you to think back to this morning, the last time you saw your mother, okay?
Yeah.
Now, was there anybody else in the house?
The nurse, but she was in the kitchen.
Anybody else hanging around outside?
No.
You sure about that?
He just told you he didn't see anyone.
Mr. Summers, you're here as an appropriate adult. If you interfere, I'll suspend the interview.
No, you can't be serious.
Very serious, sir. We're investigating a suspicious death. Now, Lucas, how long were you with your mother?
Not long. I told you that before.
5, 10 minutes?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Well, Nurse Hudson said you were there longer. She said maybe 20, 30 minutes.
10 minutes, 20. Does it really matter?
Yes, it matters. Because somebody during that 20 or 30 minutes gave Jocelyn Summers a fatal injection of insulin.
I did it. So Mum wouldn't have to suffer anymore.
No. Well, Lucas, if you did it, where did you get the insulin from? You see, you're not a diabetic. We checked.
Yeah, but I've got
I'm
friends
the
that...
diabetic, Mr. Hasham. It was me. At the house this morning when they brought her back from the hospital, I mean, that was the first time I'd seen Josie in nearly 3 years. God, it's a real shock, I tell you. She was always so active, you know, always on the go, doing things, you know. And there she was. Completely helpless. And she looked at me and I just knew what she wanted. And Greg came and threw me out. I mean, you saw it, you and that other young... All I wanted was to spend some time with her.
So you came back later?
I told Luke I just wanted to be alone with her for a bit. I was in and out before the nurse even knew.
All right, and then what happened?
I went in and she just looked at me, pleading. See, Josie never asked anybody for anything, but on this occasion she would beg me to help her. I asked her if she wanted out. She used Luke's code, closed her eyes, yes. Looked at me. I asked her if she was sure. Closed her eyes again.
So you'd gone prepared?
Just gone to see her, that's all. But I knew what she wanted. The nurse's bag was on the table, already open. I'm a diabetic. I know what to look for. I took a vial of Actropid and the biggest syringe I could find and checked it there. She looked at me like she did when we were first married. I held her hand until the breathing changed. I left. I'm just sorry I had to use Luke like that. He didn't know. Hell, I didn't know, but somebody had to do something. I just hope in time you'll forgive me.
You'll have to get another card. You can't match any of them there.
Yeah, okay. What about that?
Lucas,
Or what do you want?
I've come to take you home.
Well, that's not home. I hate it there. I'm not going with you.
Lucas, be sensible, mate. There's nowhere else for you to go.
Oh, I'm staying with Dad.
I'm sorry, son, you've got no choice.
Well, I can go back to the motel.
No, you can't, mate. You're underage. You're a minor. Anyway, what's so bad with your uncle?
Well, Heckle and Jekyll should have been drowned at birth. Saggy Abbey's a waste of space.
All
As
right,
for him,
all right,
he's just...
that's enough. Just go with him for tonight, all right?
What'll happen to Dad?
He's being charged right now.
So what, are they going to lock him up?
It depends.
Look, Tom, if Summers needs bail money...
What? But you hate him. You threw him out of your house, remember?
Yeah, I know, mate, but... Well, he did what I didn't have the courage to do.
All right. But as soon as Dad's free, I'm going with him, okay?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, mate.
Yep. Your lymph glands are swollen. That's up a bit.
Do you not been waking up at night in a sweat?
Yeah, well, this current flu's a nasty one. Keeps coming back for another bite. Next time, get your flu shots like everyone else, eh?
So that's it? The flu?
You're a bit run down and you've got a chest infection. Antibiotics and no late nights for a week or so, okay?
You dog. You don't know what I've been imagining.
Look, well, we didn't have any choice. As the law stands, we had to charge him. So what do you think he's going to get? A suspended sentence?
Depends on the judge. At worst, manslaughter. From what PJ said, it wasn't premeditated.
And a slap on the wrist for the nurse for leaving a bag unattended.
Well, I hear you got a result. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks to you. Now, Zoe, is it usual to check the blood sugar levels?
Well, it was just a hunch. And that movie that was on the TV a couple of weeks ago about the Vaudeville case.
Power of the media, eh?
I think it's about time I brought around. The usual?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be very nice.
Thank you. Give you a hand. Peace may break out.
You're not seriously going to drink that?
I'm going to try anything if it sorts out this damn flu. My throat feels like it's been sandpapered.
Well, you should have had your shots like everyone else.
Well, I don't like needles. And some of my colleagues hadn't been so generous with their germs.
Well, my mum slices an onion, soaks it in sugar, then sips the juice. Dash?
No, mate, no. It's goose grease. You rub it on your chest and you wear red flannel undies. First of all, you have to catch the goose. Goose? There you go.
Vinegar and brown sugar. Sorts out the catarrh.
Oh, what's wrong with cough syrup and throat lozenges?
Because I've tried it all. Siobhan reckons this is going to help. It's an old Chinese remedy.
The witch? No eye of newt or wool of bat. She's slippy, isn't she?
You won't have any trouble with vampires there, Dash.
No, colleagues.
Oh, Crims, just breathe on them and come quietly. Here we go. Doctor does house calls.
Oh, what can we do for you on this fine day?
I want you to help me prevent a murder. Her name is Jocelyn Summers. She's been my patient for about 3 weeks. Before that, she lived in Melbourne with her mother, till her mother died and Jocelyn had to move up here.
What makes you think she's at risk?
She's got motor neurone disease in the final stages. Her brother, Greg Michaels, has just asked me to help him kill her.
I know Greg Michaels. Are you sure?
Well, what did he say exactly?
Well, first he asked me how long I thought she'd got, and then he said that she was in a lot of distress, and the end could be a lot quicker and easier if I would just give him the right pill.
Come on, Zoe. There's an awfully long way between asking a question and taking action.
Yes, but when I told him that my job was to save lives, not end them, he said that somebody had to do something to help her. I got the very clear impression he was quite prepared to do it himself.
Zoe, no crime has been committed. What do you want us to do?
I want you to back me up, PJ. I need to take out an intervention order. I need to get her out of that house and into a hospital where she'll be safe.
All right, we'll have a chat with Greg Michaels.
If I knew she was going to react like this, I would have kept my mouth shut.
And done what exactly?
Mr. Michaels Greg, Dr. Hamilton is concerned that you might take matters into your own hands.
Have you ever seen anyone with MND? It's cruel what Josie's suffering.
Then let Dr. Hamilton take her into the hospital. I'm sure she'll be much more comfortable.
Tom, I promised Josie I'd look after her. I gave her my word. She hates hospitals.
Yeah, but if that's the right place for her...
They can't make her comfortable. They'll just keep her alive. If she were a horse or a dog in this condition, you'd shoot her.
She's not. She's a human being. And any attempt to kill or conspire to kill will be murder and treated as such. Is that understood?
What is this motor neuron disease anyway?
It's when your nervous system packs up. It's like progressive paralysis. It's pretty grim. David Niven had it when he died.
Who's he?
That's you know David Niven is. He's an actor. Guns Never Own, Around the World in 80 Days.
Right.
55 Days of Peking.
Okay, I got the point. I'm just trying to say is that you want to keep living. You don't want someone to go in there and decide for you whether or not you're better off dead.
Where there's life, there's hope, eh, Dad?
Yes. And then to go and ask a doctor to help, it's a coward's way out.
You reckon?
Don't you?
You two, that's Katie's. Look, you should really be talking to my husband about this.
Yes, we've already done that, Mrs. Michaels.
It was his idea Josie should stay here. After their mother died, there was no one else. She's his sister, after all.
You don't want her here?
I didn't say that. It's just... he's at work all day. The district nurse comes, but it's all up to me, really. The twins are such a handful.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's hard enough to manage before. Now, she needs to be turned every hour or so. She can't feed or wash or toilet herself anymore. It's just a nightmare.
What about a nursing home if you can't manage?
He made her a promise. He'll keep it if it kills him.
Or her.
Look,